been my intention to get a squad of Terminators for my Deathwatch Army. And that was the whole purpose of buying these guys, the Space Marine Heroes Season 2. They're all Termites. Now, I maybe would not have considered using these kind of special edition, rare, hard to get models to use in just my normal army. And it is a decision I struggled with, right? Like, what if I want to create another Space Marine army at some point, and then I can't use these guys because they're my Deathwatch army? But I still can't get any Terminators from Games Workshop, any stores. Yeah, I can go to eBay, but yeah. So I decided that yes, I'm going to go ahead and commit to doing that. But as per usual, I wanted to just make sure I can pull this off, because it's not as simple as slapping some black paint on these guys and then boom, they're Deathwatch. For starters, these guys don't have the Deathwatch pauldron. They're going to have their kind of, I think, unit insignia or what have you. And so I have to find a way of getting a Terminator-sized Deathwatch pauldron onto these models. And so it's going to require some practice. Also, kind of want to play with posing them in a slightly different way. I'm thinking about using a hot water bath to kind of position the weapons a little differently. There's not a whole lot you can do because the way the model is created. For sure, the legs only go one way and they connect to the base in that very specific way, so I can't mess with that. The torso is, I think, on at least the ones that I've looked at closely, they're like the dorsal and the ventral and dorsal halves. And so instead of having one torso that you can position anywhere you want on the legs, like you see on some of the older Games Workshop models, these are front and back, and you put them together. And so once you put them together, you really can't move them. I mean, I suppose maybe you could try, but I think that would be a bigger ask. So the only thing really that can be posed on these guys is the arms. And so right now, the way kind of out of the box, the pose is, wherever their shoulders are, you can kind of rotate them around that pivot point on their shoulder. I want to try something a little different. I recently watched a video on how to bend, or specifically unbend, any bent plastic models that you may have. And so they use like either a hot water bath or like a solid salt bath. I'm gonna give this a shot. So because failure is always an option, I want to try this on a test model. As luck would have it, there's a set of 8 in this collection. I'm sorry, there's 7 in this collection. There's wait, hang on. 3, 5. Okay. Let me rephrase that. There's 9 units in this special collection. There's 10 boxes in this blind case, which means that one of these is a repeat. And that is my victim, my test subject. And as luck would have it, for me, it is Brother Aramus. He's got a Thunderhammer and a Stormbolter. So my options are kind of limited on how to pose this. So I'm going to try to extend the hammer kind of out. So maybe he's raising it way over his head for the honor of Grayskull. Or, I don't know, maybe twisting it around on his wrist if I can. I don't know if I can, but maybe twist it around a bit so it looks like he's in the back of a backhand swing. Or I don't know. I'm going to try to pose him a little differently than just the stock. Because at the end of the day, if I fail, I get another shot at this guy, and I'll leave him as is if this thing doesn't work. So it sounds like a fun project. It also sounds like a pain in the butt, which is kind of how all fun projects end up being. So I'm going to split this up into kind of just... so I've already done the unboxing in a previous video. I'm going to split this up into a let's build and a let's paint. And the let's build will... basically, it'll be me... well, the let's build, it's this one. It'll be me just kind of cutting out of the sprue, putting it together with kind of sticky tack to see what it would look like as is. Then I'll proceed to do some of the modifications that I think I can pull off. And when I finally have them posed the way I think it's going to work, I'll end the video, move on to the Let's Paint, and that way we can all watch me mess up a perfectly good plastic model. That'll be fun for everybody, won't it? Let's see how it goes. Here he is, poor Brother Aramus, about to undergo the cruel knife of one your average bear. I hope I can do him justice. He looks like a pretty cool model, and I don't want to mess him up. I mean, I'm gonna mess him up. I just don't want to mess him up too bad. So I will work on clipping and sanding. Here is my handy dandy sander. Better get my handy dandy hobby knives. Let's get the clipping. So as I do this, it strikes me that I love the way this color looks. Now, I know this color isn't going to make it to the end of the model. I mean, even if you're a Blood Marines, well, Blood Angels player, you wouldn't keep this red, right? You would still prime it, you would still paint it the Blood Marines red. But I guess for me, the novelty is so pronounced that, you know, I've never seen Games Workshop do any model kits in anything other than that gray. Now, I know that that's just me, right? Because I've seen other YouTubers, or I've seen people on YouTube work on Games Workshop models that do have different colored base, different colored kind of the plastics. For instance, I watched an Eons of Battle video where the dude, I don't know his name, but the dude is working on some Warhammer Fantasy minis, Age of Sigmar minis, because that's different from, you know, what I remember. But yeah, he was working on some Age of Sigmar minis. It's like their Recruit edition, and I guess like the human faction had a very nice gold. It was kind of like it was gold the way this is red. Like it's not, this is a red, but it's a different kind of red. Well, that kit, I guess one of the factions, I don't know what the factions are called in Age of Sigmar. It's been a long time since I've played, and I believe that the story behind the game has changed quite a bit since I, you know, knew anything at all about it, which was very little to begin with. At any rate, the dudes that looked like they were maybe Empire before, I don't know, they had that gold color. And the bad guys, well, you know, I guess one of the competitors, whatever, they were like, they're probably not called undead anymore, but they looked like undead, like they had some banshees or whatever. And that one they were also molded in a very different color. So it wasn't the gold one, but it wasn't the typical Games Workshop gray. And I don't know why I like that so much. but I do. I mean, really, it's got to be the novelty, and that's about it. You're still gonna smash it with some primer, and then all that gorgeous color is gonna be gone. But it's just so novel to me, and yeah. So that's kind of my thought process as I work on Brother Aramus here, is just kind of marveling at the color of his plastic. It's almost a shame to besmirch it with my horrible painting. Alas, Brother Aramus, you drew a short straw indeed. Oh, I didn't realize this is one of those push-to-fit models I keep hearing so much about. I've never had one of these before. Push-to-fit weren't really a thing in my heyday. Alright, so I'll stick them together with a little bit of this tacky stuff, just for the sake of this Let's Build It video. But it'll also give me a chance to really see how all the pieces fit together, and it'll help me strategize a bit on what kind of pose I might be able to pull off with quite a bit of work for, very little difference. But that is part of the charm of this hobby, isn't it? So I'm sure what I'm doing here is old hat to most of you, but it's very new to me, and this is really cool. I am kind of impressed at the creativity of Games Workshop's offerings as of late. Well, not as of late, as of the last 20 years that I haven't been around. I clearly have to work on my object permanence. Just because I'm not here doesn't mean it didn't happen. Here's another observation as I'm building this, and I don't know if this is true of all the new model kits. It certainly was not true of the Helmblaster kits, but maybe that was a bit of an anomaly. But it strikes me that this, maybe it's just this push-to-fit model, is there's very little with what I think is called flashing. If flashing is, the little wounds on the model part that it results from the connection to the sprue. There seems to be very little on this model. So I don't know if it's just, I am just now noticing this, and this is true of all new Games Workshop stuff, or maybe it's sampling bias, right, where I just so happened to be working with this and noticed it here, but maybe I didn't notice it with some others, and if I had been paying attention, I would have picked up on it. But whatever the case may be, my initial impressions of this model is very well designed. There's See, there's almost no place where I have to go and clean up the flashing. At least, again, I think that's what it's called, flashing. I've done very little smoothing and sanding, and this is not a complaint. It just goes to tell me, anyway, that this kind of quality is possible if you want to do it. You know, if Games Workshop really wanted to, you know, scale up the quality of the model kits and, you know, eliminate flashing, and they totally could, and they've shown that they can do it with this guy. And I'm hoping it's not just this individual model. I'm hoping it's true for all of the ones in this collector's series. Because if that's the case, then this is not a fluke, and Games Workshop is capable of doing better. They just have to want to do better. And I hope that with every new kit, they're getting better and better. I'll see as I start working on some of the new kits. I couldn't wait to get working on this. Alright, there's a dude. And I just realized that since this is a push to fit, I didn't actually need the putty. Oh well. Let's take another look. Alright, here is Brother Aramus. Soon, just to be a normal dude in our either Terminator squad or in our kill team. So it'll be basically no-named troops in our unit. But you know what? That doesn't mean that he can't still have a name. He just won't be a character. He's just going to be a member of the unit. Anyway, so here it is. One of the things. So yes, it looks pretty awesome, and I'm looking forward to priming and painting and all that kind of good stuff. One of the things that I've noticed about this is that there actually is limited posability in the snap configuration, or the push to fit. You'll notice that the peg here that goes into this hole is designed so that the arm goes only in one direction, like in one orientation. If you move it away from that orientation, it actually bends either the post or it moves the arm kind of out of place. It kind of splays it out. So I'll show you with this guy. Do a little extreme close-up. Whoa. So I'm going to move the hammer like he's bringing it down. So you'll notice right there, it comes out of the joint. So one of the things I'm going to have to do is, if I want to make them posable, I'm going to have to remove these posts and for sure make it not snap to fit. Which, you know, it was always a plan to glue them together anyway. But this just kind of confirms the deal. So this is going to be, I'm going to shave this off and I'm going to glue the arm wherever the heck I want to glue it. I understand why it has to be this way, for it to be a snapped fit. If it was a very shallow post to allow posability, it wouldn't stay on and it really wouldn't be snapped to fit. So I get it. I'm totally okay with that decision. For those of us who want to adjust our Terminator bro, we can do so by doing the modifications that Games Workshop players always make. So, All right. So he's built. Wait. So he's built. That's what he's supposed to look like before people like me go in and ruin his day. You'll notice that pauldron has got to go. This pauldron is fine, but he needs a chapter-specific pauldron. Maybe I'll find some way of getting like an applique or something on that shoulder to designate, hey, he comes from this chapter. But for sure, this shoulder pad is going to have to be replaced with, well, let me show you. I had to go to my bits box to retrieve this. It's where I keep my Space Marine pauldrons, Deathwatch specifically. And so I went in there and I retrieved these two pauldrons. Now they look pretty similar, but you'll notice that this one, which I believe is the regular Space Marine size, fits into that one if I wanted to. So these kind of go in here, and there's still kind of some room to spare. There's some other details that are kind of different. There's a little hole here for the arms, whereas this one does not. And so this one, I'm pretty sure, is meant for either Terminators or those aggressors. There's kind of the larger Primaris Marines. And so it's supposed to kind of go here. Except that this model isn't designed to allow for that kind of thing. It has this raised detail. As it raised detail right here. And so that raised detail is going to prevent me from putting in this guy. But that's nothing a little sanding can't take care of. My intention is to remove that detail, which is going to be painful, both in that it's going to be laborious, and it's going to definitely alter this model quite a bit, and that's going to be sad. But it would be sadder to not field him with a Deathwatch pauldron. That would be sadder, guys. So sad. So that's one of the plans for the actual build. One of the other modifications I'd like to make, and I'm going to give this a shot, is to, I don't know why it's not focusing, is to bring this storm shield and have it kind of like bring it tighter over his torso. So it's going to involve getting this elbow joint and kind of twisting it, and I think that'll be fine. The other thing I would like to do is to extend this hammer out. Now, I wouldn't actually be moving the hammer. I would be moving either his, I mean, ideally his wrist. I don't know if that's going to be a possibility, but kind of extend his wrist out so he's almost pointing with the hammer. See if that's a possibility. I don't know. So, I'm going to play with it that way. When you next see me, I should have ruined this model or succeeded beyond the wildest imaginations.